The Matthew Dark Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, praise God and welcome in. This is the Matthew Dark Show. Now remember, hit subscribe everywhere you get your shows. Never miss an episode. We thank you in advance for that. We're about 6 months out from midterm elections in November for this country. And in several states, it's all on the line. They've been radicalized to the left. They've been captured and demonized by the left. And there's a shot again every 4 years. We're so grateful for the founding that there's a chance to come back and recover your state. I think California, I think Minnesota, I think New York, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, of states that have been truly captured. And they look nothing like they used to. These were beautiful, once worthy states, and they need a resuscitation from the right, or at least conservative, God-led principles that speaks to the people. We have a perfect guest to go through the shots in these states, at least here in Colorado. What can we do to reclaim it? Now, you remember her, Heidi Ganahl, the 2022 Republican gubernatorial candidate. In 22, of course, Jared Polis, somehow we selected that, and I'll still never believe it. So we have to talk about election fraud and the thinking of the American here in Colorado, because we've gotten off track, Heidi, and there's a chance here in the fall. So I want to just get a temperature check. How are we doing? Do we have a shot? Is it in sight to reclaim Colorado with the candidates that we've got going? So good to have you. Thank you, Heidi.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. And I have a mixed answer to that. Okay. One is I'm really worried that people are not enthusiastic, excited, and really going all out for this election in the fall. So I've been trying to light a fire underneath people's, rear ends to get busy and get active. And I like to say the leader you've been waiting for is you. Like, you've got to be the leader in your own neighborhood, in your own precinct, they call it. And start there. You've got to get to know your neighbors, make sure they vote, make sure they have answers to their questions if they're not sure how to vote. And if everybody did that, we'd be at a pretty good spot. But we've also got to have a lot of money, and we have to go up against the liberal media, which you know very well is very difficult and usually a big block to us winning elections here in Colorado. So I think we've got a lot of work to do. But it's not out of the realm. The stars have to align a bit. But I am telling people to focus very directly on the 4 congressional seats that we hold in Colorado. Those are in peril. We are in danger of losing a few of those. And not only does that affect Colorado, it affects our great country, America, and we've got to hold the House.
Yeah, and it feels like it is so razor thin. The margins are so thin right now for any error. And you talked about the enthusiasm, and I just wonder, where's that coming from? I mean, is this sort of permeating from the federal level? Because there's a lot of disappointment at the federal level. We said, go do this, and we're doing this. We've gotten distracted. We've gotten off track. Is it demoralizing people, or are they kind of just seated? I'm sure Trump will work this all out and we'll be good. Is there a sense of betrayal going on in the voter's mind that says, I'm not getting involved this time? What is the psyche?
Well, the hard part, Matt, is we've got to go all in to save the House, and Congress is doing absolutely nothing, nothing. And it's so frustrating. And so I think for us to ask our voters to go out and work their tails off for folks who are not doing anything to honor their promises in Washington, D.C. is really, really tough. And they're making votes that we are scratching our head about. Like, wait, what? You're a Republican. Why aren't you having the back of our president? Like, it's that simple. And I've told a couple of the Congress folks that, like, all we ask is that you have his back and help him do his job. Don't make it harder on him. And it seems they're making it harder. So that's one issue. The other issue is election integrity. For goodness sake, Senator Thune will not get this bill passed, this Save the America Act, which will help tremendously if he gets it done. And I think it's nefarious. I don't think he wants to get it done. I think they want to destroy the Trump agenda, the America First agenda, and destroy MAGA going forward. And so this is how they're going to do it.
You do ask, what on earth would be preventing an elected congressman from saying, we agree, you should have ID, you should have to physically come in and vote. We're going to count those votes, turn them in. I don't get the apprehension other than they're a beneficiary of fraudulent elections somehow themselves. And so we're not going to mess with this. We're not going to mess with term limits. We're not going to mess with campaign contribution maximum. Because that hurts the people that we've now ceded all control to. And it's kind of feels like it's tough to get them back in line, because think about the White House is controlled by Republicans, the Senate, the Congress, yet I can't find a tangible thing. We've got a mostly closed border, right? About 94%. We did not get mass deportations. We absolutely ordered the Epstein files, not going to get those. And now we're involved in Iran. I think President Trump could do a lot of good by maybe just sort of piecing out, because give us a little meat, give us something to gnaw on as American people. We need relief from inflation, right? It's very expensive. Colorado is another state that they've inflated us out of our communities. I mean, I just had a real estate buddy the other day over, at the average home in America or Colorado is $636,000. Wow. That's breath. You got to be a rich person. 636,000. That's your starter home. I mean, and it's hard to find decent housing. I mean, just by getting the cost of living down in Colorado alone, that is going to go a long way. What is the messaging need to be from the conservative right to the Coloradans? Because we're such a unaffiliated voting base too. How do you snare those to the right and turn this ship? What's the messaging got to be from this candidate that emerges?
Well, I mean, I think we were on the right path at the beginning of the presidency. Doge, baby, Doge.
Yes.
Destroy the bureaucratic locks and get rid of corruption and make sure people's money that they're paying in taxes is being spent well. Make sure that the bad actors are put in jail. And this was reinforced when I had Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen come out to Colorado a few months ago. And he's a pollster, and he said, in order to win Colorado, the candidates need to talk about corruption, putting bad guys in jail, making sure people's money is stewarded well. Like, this isn't brain surgery. This is easy to make people happy if you actually do the work and get that done. And that all ties to affordability. If you reduce the bureaucracy, if you get rid of corruption, if you reduce taxes, which are all the things I ran on in 2022, I ran on going to 0% income tax, reducing the size of government by 40%, and making sure that we get rid of fraud and corruption. Those things win elections. But even if you have that message, you've got to get it through the liberal media. And in Colorado, it's like a cabal. They just feed off of each other, and they have coordinated efforts to stop conservative candidates from getting their message across, which is why we started Rocky Mountain Voice. It's why you do what you do. It's up to all of us individually to fix that, because no one's coming to save the day. Now, maybe this 9 News takeover will help. I don't know. We'll see. Right. That's fun to watch, but we've got a lot of work to do. And God bless the Gazette for still trying to hang in there and do what's right on the newspaper side. But without being able to break through that, and you need a lot of money to do that too. You need tens of millions of dollars to go up against the airwaves, against the Democrats. And we've got to fix our elections here. Our elections are a mess in Colorado. They are not the gold standard. They are fool's gold.
And that's discouraging for the prospective voter too, because we know what happened in 2020. They created and got up to 81 million votes for Joe Biden. Nobody believes that. And I think one thing that Trump could do right now, setting aside Epstein, and that's a mess. Iran, this is not going well for the average person. You come in with something that saves integrity, and that's his singular mission. John Thune, or Senator Thune, we're coming after you with everything. If you don't get this done, you have to give the American people one thing to say, okay, my vote does count. It's worth my time knocking on doors, speaking to others, telling a friend, did you vote? All these things, they have to believe this is going to end up at somehow their benefit. Right now, it's not ending up in their benefit. So that message, and you mentioned the heart of the voter and the heart of the state of Colorado, it's got to change. We have this sort of this slow boil thing. Obviously, things are getting worse. This was a beautiful state. Now it's become, like a holy land for the trans community, the abortion community, the illegal alien. We've leveraged our children's future to house illegal aliens. And so that has to come out immediately. We have to then say, well, if you're a violent criminal, there's a special place for you, prison, and it could be 10, 15, 20 years. And then I think Colorado has got sort of a miniature California, very blossoming homeless mental illness community. It's too big. I mean, downtown Denver, I'd love to take my kids to a Rockies game. There's something that's just not attractive about doing that experience anymore. But when I was in my 20s, I thought it was the greatest place in the world. Go down to Coors Field, beautiful day, beautiful city. It doesn't look the same anymore. And I actually don't believe it would take that long with policies dedicated to Coloradans to get crime off the street, drug use off the street, to just say, hey, just so you know, you don't come here for abortions. We are closed for those kind of services. If you think your 5-year-old boy is now a 5-year-old girl, you're going to take that elsewhere. You need to seek the Lord Jesus Christ, but you can't bring that child here. We don't allow such a thing. Is there a message to the Coloradan, whether they're blue-haired and they, or hard right, NRA, Bible thumping? Is there one issue that all Coloradans would say, I don't care what party you're from, I need that? What do you think that is?
Well, I think you have to understand. I mean, when you look at the cult of politics right now, and the left is not willing to budge, anything they're told to vote for, they vote for. And so then you've got conservatives who are like, well, yeah, duh, if we put in common sense economic policies and we allow families to run their families and business owners to run their business owners, everything's going to get better. But you've got this middle group, right, that are like, oh, well, wait, I think I'm supposed to vote this way because the left tells me I'm supposed to, or I'm a bad person.
Right.
Or the right is, xenophobic, racist, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I hear on the news. Oh, what do I do? And so I think it's that 20% in the middle that you've got to move. And you move them through talking about affordability, about fairness, about making sure that the government isn't taking away their rights, that they have the ability to run their family, their business the way they see fit. But I really do think affordability is the way to thread that needle.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're so right. We saw during COVID, and I think it is money, and it's sort of an indictment on the American heart that you can touch everything around us, just don't come after our money, then we'll go ballistic on you. They were willing to take their children and get COVID shots or themselves COVID shots, wear a mask to keep their job. They've shown that they will do they've been able to applaud late-term abortions and transgender surgeries for children. It's not affecting their bank account, so they don't care. When you talk about this freedom infringement, this creep by the government to take away, one of the things I don't know that the Democrat actually doesn't feel like there is any rights being taken away. The fact that your 12-year-old could give consent to mental health services or abortion services without your knowledge. I mean, does the average Democrat even understand that that is an infringement on your personal liberties to do that with your child outside? Has that resonated, or they have accepted that sort of demonic delusion that, no, you birth the child and then you hand them over and they'll take care of them from there? I don't know that they get that right now.
I think it's basically they trust the institutions where we trust ourselves. And the institutions have a lock on their brains. I don't know why.
Yes, they're captured.
And man, I keep saying it's like frogs in boiling water here in Colorado. And eventually the water's got to get hot enough that people jump out. And it just hasn't been hot enough. We keep thinking it's got to be hot enough. It's finally hot enough. And it's not. So part of that is the lock that the media has on everyone here in Colorado, that there just is this one like monotone message that goes out, like almost orders, like, this is how we're going to think. This is what we're going to think. There will be no straying from what we're going to think. It's so bad. So we've got to address that. And that takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of you and I doing what we do and then ramping it up. So yeah, I think that's the biggest issue. I really do.
Yeah, it does. I wonder the discouragement that we feel, because we can't have, what's crazy is on the left, there never seems to be any discouragement. They're always locked in arms. They're going to go do the thing. And the Republicans, because we're more free spirit, we're more getting wisdom from the Lord and then saying, does that match my values? There can be splits and divisions in Republicans that they don't seem to have in mass on the left. I wonder if you saw this same, was the excitement back in 22, the average Republican voter that you would come across. You're suggesting there's a noticeable shift in their desire to fight for their country versus now? I mean, can you feel that slipping?
I don't know. I think that I, I think in a way it's dividing into four. So I think
Mm,
there's the woke, like the very progressive left, and then there's the more mainstream left, like the Michael Bennett's of the world, whereas
right.
Phil Weiser's going more towards the far left. He didn't used
Yes.
to, but
There's
or
more
the
money in the far left, I think.
yeah, and there's more energy and excitement. And
Mm,
then on the right, you can see the Israel divide happening and
yes.
the battle of the podcasters. And
Right.
if you listen to James Lindsay, what they're doing is they're breaking the conservative movement into two.
Right.
And so you've got these four quadrants, and the far right and the far left are who are driving results
Right.
right now. And which is it's a little scary. It's like, wait. There's 80% of us that believe we can meet in the middle and talk and find
Right.
solutions. But that's not going to happen as long as they control the money, the energy, the power.
Was it a mistake for President Trump to go after the podcasters and create some of that? Because if I'm a podcast listener of Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly or whatever, and I love President Trump, and now President Trump is saying, well, these people are idiots. What is that voter left to do? And was that a mistake? Should he mend those relationships, put us all back together? Is that something he should be more aware of than, say, maybe overseas?
Man, it just makes me sad because
Yeah.
we grew up grew up politically,
Yeah.
listening to all these folks and have so much love in our hearts for everyone coming together in 24 and pulling off, a miracle pretty
Yes.
much by bringing all these ragtag groups and people together. And so I just am really sad. I'm really sad that everything's falling apart. It's like, wait. I miss that. I want to go to one of the rallies and see Tucker and see
Yeah.
everybody, the whole spectrum, JD Vance and Donald Trump. And I don't know that that's going to happen again. It's being reworked right now. And I don't think a lot of us are happy about that. It's like, why can't we all just get along?
I totally agree. And I guess that's where I want to be critical of President Trump in the sense of he's already working with the razor thin majority. And even that's proven to not get anything really done. Right. And so now you lose 4 seats here. And now you have a Democrat controlled House. Senate, maybe there's a little bit more buffer room there. I wonder if that was not an impulsive move to divide, but then something. Here's what I'd like to ask. Is there something, because it's got to be America first next. His next big move has got to speak to the average American MAGA voter. That original MAGA voter, I can tell you, is discouraged by our current agenda, the priorities, what we're spending time, money, treasure on right now. They're discouraged by that. I wonder, what is the thing? What could he feed back to the people? We're he's up in his throne and we're the people down on the courtyard and we're screaming and we're demanding heads. Is there something Donald Trump could give us right now and put all these pieces back together, get somebody who maybe had fallen off? He's just as passionate as he was when he saw Donald Trump come down the escalator in 2015 with the lovely Melania. And he told us a couple of things here. He said, first, number one, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for that wall. Now, I don't really care if Mexico pays for it. We need a wall. The wall is going. The other thing he did, he said this, we're going to drain the swamp. Those were the two real leading campaign messages. And we liked that a lot. We saw Hillary Clinton as the face of the swamp. And yes, we must get her dead. But we know there's a ton more swamp creatures. So I just wonder, is there a piece of action that Donald Trump could feed back into MAGA that would say, okay, he's back. America's got a shot again. The alternative to losing the midterms for him, I'm actually scared for him because I know impeachment comes right away. And depending on how, the Republicans then going to bail on him, he's a, lame duck president, no longer having a majority. Now we're back to impeachments. And I know impeachments stop any American first progress right then and there. We saw that with the first one, Russia. Got nothing done. Impeachments in Russia was the whole first 4 years, and they're going to do that. Do you think he's aware of what the kind of fire he's playing with the razor thin stuff, and what's he got to give us to put that goodwill back in the hearts of all his original fans? And he had a huge fan base.
I think he just needs to execute on his plan. I think he needs to bring Elon back and
Yeah.
Doge, baby. And
Oof.
I think I understand from doing a lot of reading, or my understanding of what he's doing is trying to rework the energy framework of the world and kind of shift power, which, okay, got it. Let's get that done, get out of there
Right.
and enjoy the fruits of his labor, like so that we aren't beholden to China anymore. I get that. And that's America first, essentially. So if that's what's happening, that's
Okay.
fine. But we really want people to go to jail that are bad actors, and
Right.
we really want the bureaucracy torn down. We want corruption weeded out, and we want people deported. Like
Right.
we want people deported.
That's
I
right.
don't know how much like more plain it could be. And if we get back to doing those things, then I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine and we'll all come together at the election this fall and we'll ramp things up and get us across the finish line. But we need some wins. We need
Yeah.
some wins right now. That's the success is the best arbitrator of bringing people together and,
Yes.
and focusing on a big, hairy, audacious goal and getting it done is the biggest win to bring everyone together and get things back connected.
I think maybe only Donald Trump has enough fan support, goodwill built up that he would get grace. He would be forgiven. Absolutely. But we've got to get back on schedule here because and I just think people are not appreciating the impact of the decision to handle the Epstein files the way he did. That was number
Yeah.
one divider. And then, of course, it led right into Iran. And so we asked, well, was Iran to get away from Epstein or was that just, but we've got two major controversies going on. The sooner he's out of both, the sooner he says, go get the bad people in the Epstein files, and those ships turn around and we come, because we can't pay $4 gas the rest of the year going into midterms. I mean, talk about a target on your back. His big win at the beginning was the price of eggs came down. Okay, so we've got the eggs down. We're working on energy, and then energy. People respond to more money in their pocketbook. So it's got to speak to that. It would be good for eye candy. It'd be really good to start seeing the deportations take place again and say we haven't forgot. There's something going on with the deportations, though, because they just stopped and they stopped reporting any numbers. I'm not sure of the mechanisms behind the scenes. You remember we spent the entire initial part of the term with the Venezuelan guy from Maryland, sending him back and forth to Venezuela a
Right.
dozen times. And I think it really created a bad will about we're not deporting anybody else. It's too messy. So that one's over. Now, if it's over, it's over, but we have to move on to something else that feeds the people. Our guest is Heidi Ganahl, of course, Rocky Mountain Voice. The Mountain Minute is all there. We're talking midterms and getting into it. I'm of the opinion that a state like Colorado going conservative, changing everything about it, has enormous impact on the rest of the country. California, a very similar thing. Could you imagine in this election cycle? Now, there's a win. Colorado, I mean, it'd be headline news everywhere. Colorado elects a Republican governor. It sounds like, when I say it out loud, it sounds so crazy because it would be like so purifying for the country. It could be contagious for the country. What are your thoughts, though, about how that has a national impact on change and then maybe the model for changing some of these other states?
Yeah, I think that would be amazing, but we can't get out of our own way here in Colorado. The conservatives cannot come together. It's just bickering nonstop.
And what are
And
they bickering about? What is the main concern? Because they always talk about that. There's the infighting. What is the issue they can't really come to terms on, you think? Power?
it's that no one can agree on what it actually means to be a conservative or who's in the club and who's not.
Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, I think it goes back to winning and having big, hairy, audacious goals. And if we had someone that was, you know, the goal was so big that we could all go get it behind it and make it happen, I think that would bring people together. But we've got all of our factions, and it's playing out in the governor's race. You've got three different factions going to war right now, four actually, because Greg Lopez is running as an independent.
Right.
And, I don't know how this primary is going to play out, but it's really dividing people. It's making everyone grumpy, and it's not keeping us focused on the congressional races, which is where we have a lot better chance of keeping those four seats than we do winning a statewide race right now. So nationally, we are D+6 right now. So the Democrats are forecasted to win by 6 points, which means we lose the House. So if you look at our four congressional seats that we hold on the GOP side, CD3, which is the Western Slope, and Pueblo is R+5, and El Paso County, Jeff Crank, is R+5. So D+6 nationally, we lose both those seats. We also have Gabe Evans, who's in a heated toe-to-toe battle, and we would lose that one too. So we've got to focus on the 4 congressional races. Lauren Boebert only raised $90,000 in the first quarter of this year. She has $160,000 cash on hand as of March 31st. Her opponent has millions. I mean, like, it's insane how we're just letting things slip away right in front of my eyes. And I'm like, you guys, quit paying attention to the craziness of the governor's race and focus on the 4 congressional seats. And if you want to focus locally, then help us win back the state Senate. That would undo a lot of the damage if we had the state Senate. That's a
Yes.
long shot that we can do that this year, but it's worthwhile. We've got to protect the seats that we do have.
No kidding. When you have so little, you have to protect it, right?
Yeah.
What is that discrepancy in the fundraising? This is special interest, big business, just dumping money into that. Why is Lauren Boebert struggling so much to raise the money from conservatives?
I don't know the answer to that. I think, Douglas County is her biggest part of her territory. It's where I live. I wish Lauren would be here more and be spending more time out in the community, but I think the the bombastic, like, punching big is good for fundraising. And I don't know that there's as much of that going on right now. So maybe that's driving fundraising numbers down. I'm not sure. But regardless, the Democrats are fired up. They're fueled by Trump hatred.
Yeah.
And they are raising money like crazy and organizing, holding no kings rallies, and really have the momentum going into the midterms. And we can change that,
Yeah.
but we've got to do some pretty drastic things to turn that around.
Yeah, you really do. And what I think is an interesting phenomena is while Joe Biden was in power, there was an energy amongst the Republican conservative base that was, we're not stopping, we're coming. And so they have that benefit basically of you're the loser that needs to, survive. And so they're pumped up full. When you get this rare opportunity to control all three houses up there, it's not a time to take your foot off the gas. And I think we did that with so many conservatives. I know you're describing it. The enthusiasm was like, well, we won. We're good. Trump gets elected and all things fall into place. And that's just not how it works, because while you're comfy and enjoying some wins from Trump, they're over here scheming and raising money and being diabolical and saying, we're coming for every ounce of freedom and power that you might be enjoying now. We're coming for it. And I don't think we appreciate their cohesiveness. They do not divide. They do not split. If we're going for trans on kids, we're all in on that. If we're going to abort an 8-month fetus, I never thought about it, but I guess if that's what our team's going for, that's what I'll go for. And that's the mentality. We come back to the conservative. We say, well, hold on a second. I'm led by the Lord Jesus Christ. I can't look the other way as you do this atrocity to a child. And so that's really the disadvantage. Those with conscience and want to live in the spirit, want to serve others, want to help raise children. I mean, the biggest thing, you said affordability. The other one that really I thought, and I'm so discouraged by this in America, I thought the abuse and trafficking of children would be a uniting thing, meaning, yeah, we disagree so much, but we love children so much. And we know that we have to protect our children. And we're not doing a good job at that at any level, anywhere in America. Still 400,000 children a year go missing. We can't allow that a day longer. We have to have justice for these people. I wonder what you think, speaking to this sort of protecting our children who have been exposed, especially in a place like Colorado, the importance of the leadership, making them the priority. We can't focus just on the fixed income senior at 75. We've got little ones growing up that may never own a house. They may be forced to leave the state because it's too expensive, it's too erratic, it's too violent, it's too volatile. I guess speak to how children need to be placed in perspective when we run for office, serve a state.
Well, the frustrating part, Matt, is we have very different opinions about what it looks like to take care of a child. The left thinks looking like taking care of a child is aborting it if you don't have the right situation to bring it into the world, or allowing a child to cut off their body parts if that's how they feel, then that's caring for a child. That's ridiculous. Or letting a child do, smoke marijuana at a certain age if that's what makes them happy. It's insane. And so my mom had this saying, like, you can't rationalize with people who are irrational. And that's part of the problem is we think, well, duh, of course we don't want any of that. And they're like, well, why wouldn't we? We're taking care of the children. That's what the children want. It's mind-boggling.
The child will commit suicide if we don't give it a sex change.
Right.
And then they just end up as mass murderers 10 years later. And we haven't even felt the full pandemic of that. The mental health
Right.
is out of control in this country. The medicines, the hormones, the transgender, the confused people. It really is sad to see where we've gotten so quickly. And then not the energy to want to respond. I guess that's the discouraging part, to say, yeah, okay, my bank account's feeling pretty good, but we've got 2 million children in poverty. We've got all kinds of atrocities going on. Who's going to say something, And so we have to always keep, the smallest member of our community, the most insecure, the weakest, they have to be considered as we lift up a state. Okay. We can't have, communities we have this blossoming homeless community, but then we're doing really well over here. Douglas County, the wealthiest county, of course, in the state. And maybe they feel too far removed from the struggles, but it's affecting them. They're just not really putting their hearts and eyes and ears on the struggles and the pain that Democrats have caused in Colorado. Our guest is Heidi Ganahl, Rocky Mountain Voice, the Mountain Minute. I guess leave us with this. What are you most encouraged, passionate, excited? Where is your mind going this 6 months down the stretch? And if a person is saying, okay, I hear you guys, and I'm not giving up yet, I want to fight for my state, how do they get plugged in and do something effective down the stretch?
Well, what gives me hope is that I've been spending a lot more time down in Florida. My husband and I love going down there, and Marco Island specifically, one of the most conservative counties in the country, Collier County. It was a blue state, and now it's one of the freest states in the country. DeSantis is making decisions like switching on a dime. Like, oh, that's a problem. Boom, we take care of it. Oh, we need to get rid of property tax. Boom, we're going to take care of it. It's just happened so fast, and it's so refreshing. And you walk off the airplane and you can actually smell freedom in the air. I swear to goodness, you can. But anyway, it gives me hope that Florida used to be where we are. It was pretty bad, and we can turn things around. And I do have hope that we can turn things around by the midterms if everybody takes their neighborhood seriously. Like, stop thinking about the state, stop thinking about your congressional district, focus on your neighborhood and get to know everybody in your neighborhood who votes Republican, get to know the unaffiliateds and talk to them about policies and our solutions, our candidates. Get to know the local candidates, get to know your congressional candidate or elected official if you're in a red district. And fight like crazy.
Yeah.
Make it your part-time job to save this country and to save Colorado. And if everybody does that individually, or if 20% of people do that, it's going to make a huge difference. But right now, everyone's sitting on their couch, on their social media, yelling at the clouds. That doesn't change elections.
That's well said. And so I think it is. We can complain and get in a terrible way as soon as it's over. But don't do it preemptively. At least fight like a dog until they say you lost, and then go play on the social media, scream to the top of your lungs, because we know it's going to be bad. But let's give this our best final effort. We thought electing Donald Trump, we saved America. Now the proper governor, the proper congressional members saves Colorado. So we've got to have it in the fall. Heidi, I want to thank you so much, folks. Catch it's Rocky Mountain Voice, catch the Mountain Minute each and every day, get you right up to speed, a 5-minute. Here's the truth. So do this until next time. Serve the Lord Jesus Christ. Tell a friend about him. Stay good. God bless everybody.
The Matthew Dark Show, your one-stop show for truth, courage, fellowship, and faith. Available everywhere you get your podcasts.